Hello and welcome to Star Wars Hour, where it's me and Jax because D-Rock is unfortunately a little under the weather today. But that doesn't stop the Star Wars news from being cranked out. I'm sure we'll get his opinion on today's topics next week, unless we do some kind of special, which I hope eventually we get in the habit of doing some kind of like bi-weekly every other days thing, but that's more to come. What's going on today? Well, a few days ago it was announced that Jon Favreau is writing and producing a new Star Wars live-action show. No real confirmation if this is the same live-action show that they've been talking about for forever, or if this is a brand new endeavor by him, or whether or not that this is for the new Disney streaming service, or what have you. Anyways, that's what we're going to be talking about today, and then we're going to go into a Q&A a little bit earlier today, because that's the only real topic that we have on hand now. So, Jax, I turn the question to you. What do you think about Jon Favreau writing and producing a brand new live-action Star Wars show?
I like Jon Favreau. I liked Iron Man, and you know they could play very well with some of the tech that would be in Star Wars. It would just go really hand in hand. I'm gonna throw it back to a movie from a long time ago. Ooh. That most of you have not seen. That I believe Jon Favreau directed. Very Bad Things.
I don't think he directed that, but he was in it.
Well, he was in it, and he did a great job.
You know, also surprisingly, he didn't direct Swingers either, a movie that for years I thought he directed.
I didn't care for Swingers, but I did take a very good quote out of it, and your money, baby.
Oh, your money, baby. Your money.
Your money, baby.
Yeah, by Vince Vaughn, yeah. So, that's what's going on.
So, he's anyway.
Oh, yeah,
so
sorry, finish.
He's a great actor, and he's a great director. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
You know, say what you want about Iron Man 2. I think that was more like them just trying to hurry up and make another movie before Avengers came out, so we'll forgive them for that. That wasn't really Jon Favreau's fault, but, you know, like Iron Man and Jungle Book, you know, the man knows how to make big blockbuster movies. Can he deliver that same quality to the small screen or the streaming screen, whatever have you? I think the rumor through the grapevine is strongly hinting at this being a live action show for the the Disney streaming service. Because they're going to try to make a lot of content to get people over to the new streaming service. And I'm assuming all those like Marvel Netflix shows, those are probably all going to start being exclusive to this new Disney streaming service, and this new Star Wars show is just going to be another thing to try to get you to pay your $20 a month, because that's what I'm assuming it's going to be, guys. This isn't going to be some good deal Netflix $10 a month. The Disney streaming service, mark my words, it's going to be $19.99 a month, and you're going to pay it because it's going to have Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and all the other Disney stuff on it, and I'm going to have to pay for it too, guys, because there's no way I'm going to miss out on all of this amazing content that they're talking about. You know, it's interesting, though, because you would think that they would give Jon Favreau some Star Wars movies to work on instead of this show, but instead they give movies to the Game of Thrones guys. You think that it would be the other way around, where they would give the Game of Thrones guys the TV show. What do you think about that?
I just checked his directing IMDb just to make sure he didn't direct Very Bad Things, and he didn't.
No.
But he directed a lot of other great movies. But right now, he directed a few episodes of The Orville and Young Sheldon. So he's on a TV show kick right now, and you know, maybe he's like, I like TV shows more than movies. Give me a TV show, you know.
And he's also directing The Lion King, the upcoming Lion King movie for Disney.
Oh yeah, and then he did that Jungle Book.
Yeah, the Jungle Book. Yeah, so he's going to be doing The Lion King in very much the same way that he did the Jungle Book, and I think that I liked the Jungle Book a lot, so I think that this will also be awesome. Yeah. It's going to include most of the music, you know, from the movie. Jon Favreau, yeah, he has always been a super Star Wars nerd, and this is finally his chance to take on the Star Wars universe. But again, he's going to be the head writer. It's a TV show, so there's going to be a writing room, and he'll be one of the executive producers, which means that he'll probably, you know, direct like the first episode and maybe like the season finales. But he's going to have to hire some directors to direct those individual episodes. Do you think we could expect to see series, directors like Gareth Edwards, Rian Johnson, JJ? Do you think that they might come in as guest directors for episodes of the show?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I don't think that he's going to direct every single episode of the show. I think we're going to get a couple, you know, fun directors in there.
Yeah, if it was Dave Filoni, Dave Filoni, Rebels, Clone Wars, animation guy, if it was Dave Filoni that they put in charge of this live action show, I would think that they would finally do that Ahsoka live action show. But it's pretty clear that the next animated show is going to focus on Ahsoka and Sabine, and I don't think that that's where this live action show is going to take place. Now, some of you guys may not know this. We talked about this a week or two ago, but before Disney bought Star Wars and Lucasfilm, George Lucas himself was working on a live-action Star Wars show called Star Wars Underground, and, that was supposed to, happen around the same time that 1313, the game, was released. Both 1313 and Star Wars Underworld were going to take place at the same time, and some stories were going to be interwoven, and they were all going to take place in the Star Wars Underground, of course. That includes, bounty hunters, smugglers, all that stuff. 1313 specifically was going to focus on Boba Fett. Do you think that this new live-action show is going to take place in the Star Wars Underground, or do you think that it's going to be kind of like every episode is like it's going to do like a Black Mirror thing where every episode is just a different story in the Star Wars universe? And what would you prefer?
I would prefer an actual a non-anthology. I want just a story. I don't want the anthology.
Of course, I would watch it either way, because either way is cool. And generally I prefer stories with, seasons with overarching plots and everything. And, because the first couple episodes of Black Mirror, even, and if you guys haven't watched Black Mirror, watch it, it's pretty good. I watched the first couple episodes of Black Mirror, and I didn't get into it right away. I'm like, oh, it's an anthology, I'm not gonna, get connected. But eventually I did get hooked on Black Mirror, because every episode was really engaging, and they, everything was great. I loved the individual stories. So I, of course, would prefer a story, but if they did go down the anthology road, I think that could also be good, because then there's a lot of stories they could tell within the Star Wars universe. I would like to see, what they've done on Rebels. I would like to see other characters from the old legends come back. I would like them to introduce Mara Jade in a new way. Maybe she doesn't marry Luke, of course, but maybe she comes back and she, marries somebody else, and, she was a Sith, or, so she was the secret apprentice of Palpatine. She'll, maybe she'll, switch over to the good side in a different way. Maybe, of course, Dash Rendar could be introduced in a new way. Who knows? A live-action Star Wars show has a lot of potential. I really, this is going to be crazy, but I actually hope that it's not Old Republic, because I would really like to see Old Republic movies, and I feel like if they do an Old Republic show, that's going to just be like, oh, here's the Old Republic show, and then we're not going to get Old Republic movies. So what do you think about that?
It's just so soon to speculate. I mean, I have an entire thought process of what it could be. There's millions of things going on in my head, so it's just too early to speculate.
Okay. I noticed that I'm gonna trickle in the comments a little bit. I noticed that Garrett is saying, I think RJ is Rian Johnson. He was saying that he would like Rian Johnson to do the Old Republic stuff. I couldn't disagree more. I think that the Game of Thrones guys who have been hired to make movies, they should get the Old Republic stuff. And I think Rian Johnson has already said that he doesn't want to touch Old Republic, and that he wants to create his own characters in his own section of the galaxy and make his own things. And that's just kind of his thing. Yeah, he does want
to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty clear.
It's pretty clear that that's what he wants to do. He wants to stay away from any existing IP, and that's fine. Yeah, I think the Game of Thrones guys should do Old Republic, because that just seems like a match made in nerd heaven. Anyways, yeah, so that's pretty much it for that as far as what I think. I think that it's a good idea. I just, want to get your thoughts on what you think, and I think we've already done that. Do you have anything else to say about this potential Jon Favreau Star Wars show?
I can't wait to see Lion King. It's gonna, it's gonna show just how good he is. I mean, you could do one whole CGI movie with the Jungle Book, but 2 CGI movies being great, we're really gonna see how well a very CGI based movie is gonna be, and Star Wars needs a lot of CGI.
Yeah, so they're gonna be spending up the butt on this show. Anyway, so like I said, we're gonna go to Q&A pretty early here, because besides that big drop, there's just more drama about the posters, and we already talked about the posters last week, and Disney is still investigating that. I don't think we're gonna see the end of that story. I think that's gonna be settled privately, and we'll just never hear the end of it. Dave Filoni hasn't said anything new about what's coming after Rebels here. So we're going to go to Q&A pretty early here, and I think you guys might have a lot of questions. So Jackie, help me look for questions in the chat here, if you would, and let's see what's going on here.
Oh, is that soon to go to
Yeah,
questions?
we're doing it soon because that was the big story. Okay, so Video Game Network, which is Garrett, he's saying, Rian Johnson is a good director, but his desire to be so different means he's probably best separated from the main trilogy, and I think he really means the main saga, because there are 3 Star Wars trilogies now: prequels, original, and sequel. And then but I agree. I think that I didn't hate The Last Jedi. I liked The Last Jedi. I wouldn't say I loved The Last Jedi, but I liked it. But I think that I don't think he should do any more Ahsoka films. I think that he definitely, even within that movie, was just screaming, I want to do my own thing in Star Wars, so let him do his own thing in the Star Wars universe.
He was just not the right person to do a franchise movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
iJosh64
we
says,
learned.
I'd like the Old Republic if it adapted stories from the old expanded universe like KOTOR and Fallen Empire. I agree. I think the original Knights of the Old Republic, at least the story, like in the original game, I know that there was the Knights of the Old Republic comics too, and I can't remember the stories in that. Yes. But like the whole like Revan thing, I really think you could get into like the Revan thing and tell it well, and I really think that's what the Game of Thrones guys are going to get into. But we shall see.
Xander Brow said Maisie Williams, aka Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, could play live action Ahsoka. I don't agree with that.
She's still a little too young.
She is a little too young, but
well, it depends.
Is just the right age to maybe for Maisie to play? Sabine?
Maybe, but I was gonna say, she might be. The funny thing about Maisie Williams is she's now too old to play Ahsoka if it's like Clone Wars Ahsoka, but she's way too young to play like Rebels Ahsoka, because Rebels Ahsoka is
we've
like
already
30,
done Clone
35.
Wars. Yeah, we've already done Clone Wars. We gotta move on. We don't need a live action Clone Wars. We're good.
Let's see here. Mr. Pete's review says, I never thought I'd hate something more than Binks. I don't know what he's referring to. Maybe it was up there before. Maybe he's talking about episode 8, but I think that's if that's it, I think
that's
that
strong...
everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I definitely think that Last Jedi was at least a good movie. The debate has always been, since it came out, is it a good Star Wars movie? Because it is definitely a good movie. iJosh says, also, I'd like to see a live-action version of Darth Bane. Yeah, Darth Bane, Darth Malak, all of those EU, Old Republic bad guys, would love to see them on screen. The problem is, like Rian Johnson, most directors that you hire are going to want to come in and do their own thing. Even, J.J. Abrams came in and he threw the drafts that George Lucas made out the window to make The Force Awakens, which was very different from where George Lucas wanted to take Episode 7. No director, and this is what's very hard, because George Lucas, I think he's a great storyteller. He might not be the strongest director, but when he finds a director like Irvin Kershner or Richard Marquand, like they were the directors of Empire and Return of the Jedi, who actually listened to him, and I wouldn't call them puppet directors, but they definitely just were they were very technical directors, but let George tell his story. And it's hard to find that, because every single director wants to be an artist, so which is fine. It's just Star Wars, I think Star Wars has to follow certain guidelines, and that's why, we were talking before about maybe Dave Filoni should at least be equal to Kathleen Kennedy, because I feel like he is the person to kind of keep everybody on track to keep Star Wars, but that's an entirely different discussion. All right.
There's got to be more Star Wars news.
Garrett says, Rian Johnson probably needs some creative space to be weird, and yes, he does need creative space to be weird.
There's a deleted scene. There's a few deleted scenes.
Oh yeah, because the digital version of The Last Jedi came out, and there were some deleted scenes. But we're going to talk about the deleted scenes when the physical copy comes out, because that's going to have...
When does the physical copy come out?
I think the 26th? And then it'll have like all the deleted scenes there. Don't worry, we're going to get to that later.
Okay, alright. Well, we're going to get a steelbook version of that, because we've got a steelbook of every Star Wars.
Xanderbro says, I love everything in Last Jedi, but Canto Bite. All deleted scenes are glorious. Again, we haven't seen all the deleted scenes yet, but I've heard a lot about most of them, and then it's always like, why did they take that out of the movie? Why couldn't we just, and I'll say this again since it got brought up, but Finn and Rose, like the whole thing, it's like, I truly believe that they just did all that to give, who plays Finn? what's his name? John Boyega.
John Boyega.
They just wanted to give John Boyega some more screen time, because if you're telling a story, I think the proper way to tell that story would have been just to keep Finn in his coma until the very end of the movie when they all go to Crate. That's the only time that he was actually useful. You know, he could have just woken up when they're all getting blown up and, you know, on the way to Crate, and then I think he should have just flown in and sacrificed himself. There was no reason to save him.
Oh, no, we're filming.
If he could have, you know, sacrificed himself. You know, he was this stormtrooper and he wants redemption. That would have been a great redemption story. He sacrificed himself to save the rebellion. There was no reason, like, she was like, I want to save everybody, dummy. It's like, he would have saved everybody if he crashed into that thing, probably. I don't know, the whole thing, and then she kisses him for no reason. It's all very silly.
Yes, but do you think that maybe Rose should have just died at the end?
I don't think Rose should have been in the movie at all.
I mean, fair, but, like, she's now in the movie.
I mean, I don't mind, you know, Kelly, what's her name?
Kelly Marie Tran?
Kelly Marie Tran, she's a fine actress, and
I
think that, you know, that they could have built that character up to be better, but what they did with Rose wasn't good, and it just felt like, you know, tacked on.
I think she could be a good character in another situation.
Yeah, but whatever. Besides her, Finn, and the Canto Bight stuff, movie was good in my opinion.
Canto Bight aesthetic was beautiful.
You know,
and Rose just kind of shit on it for me, so I was kind of like that. The whole Canto Bight thing was.
Yeah, and like the whole thing is like it's kind of hard to. You know, like unless you're gonna follow the EU the way that the EU was, and I was expecting that for years. I was thinking, like, I guess they're just gonna do like the Thrawn and everything. But I think that if they wanted to follow the original expanded universe perfectly in the sequel trilogy, I think they would have had to film it back in the 90s when it was just like 20 years after the original trilogy, because, you know, Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, they were all way too old to do any of those stories from the expanded universe. And I don't mind the story where Luke is a hermit, because he's lived his life virtuously all that time. Something went wrong and he became what he became. That kind of stuff happens to great people all the time. It's not unrealistic. And, you know, people are like, oh, but it's Star Wars, it's supposed to be legendary, it's supposed to be all this and that, you know, and everything. And I agree, and I'm not saying that that was a perfect story or anything. I'm just saying it makes sense within that story, and therefore it doesn't really bother me. Because if I let it bother me, and I let a movie bother me that much, then I don't know. But I love Star Wars too much to let it bother me that much, I guess. I guess I'm just too much of a fanboy. Anyways. Let's see. Yeah, Mr. Pete Reviews is really angry about Rian Johnson. He says Rian Johnson needs to work for Star Trek Discovery and be gone. Harsh. Yeah. Garrett says they can afford it, I think referring to the live-action Star Wars show. Anyways. Crazy Hannah Creation says, very sad that Be Prepared won't be in the live-action film. Yes, that's the only song that they cut was Scar's song.
It's
Be
like
Prepared.
one of the best songs.
That's not a final decision, by the way. That's just what they're saying now. That they're saying that every single song except for that one is guaranteed to be in the film.
Who's Scar? Who's the voice of Scar?
I can't remember. They announced that whole thing like forever ago.
Yeah, they did, and they announced like a hit on every single
I think
casting.
I like Be Prepared for the cartoon. I can see why they might want to take it out of the CG / live action movie, because it's just a little goofy. You know, like villain songs are always fun in cartoons, but it might be a little goofy in this sense, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's also a giant cat, so it's still pretty much animated.
But I mean, if you're going to do I Wanna Be a Mighty King, if you're going to do that, then you might as well put that song in. I don't know.
I've never seen a king of beasts with quite so little hair.
Yeah. Well,
This is not Star Wars.
Here we go. Garrett says, and I'm sorry I'm behind on questions, but I like to be kind of behind on questions because then we'll have plenty of questions to answer. Mm-hmm. Garrett asks, who would you like to play a live-action Ahsoka Rich? Now, that's a very interesting question. Because, oh god, I'm gonna forget her name now. The girl from Daredevil and Rent and, you know, what's her name?
Oh, you mean that one woman.
Great. Glad we can't remember her name. There's an actress. She's been in the Daredevil TV shows. She was in Rent.
She's in all of the Marvel Netflix shows.
Yeah, that's right. She's Rosario Dawson.
Rosario
Dawson has actually expressed interest in playing Ahsoka. Now,
really?
That's interesting because she doesn't sound or look like how I would think Ahsoka would look.
She's an actress. She can do a voice.
There's no way you can do that, though, because even if you got, like, Ashley Eckstein, who plays the voice of Ahsoka, she doesn't look anything like Ahsoka either. So there's never going to be a perfect matchup, but if you're going to have Ahsoka in live action, then I would think that Rosario Dawson would be a fine choice. I feel like she could pull off. She definitely has the build for it, you know.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Oh, good choice. Yeah,
and so she wants it. But however, there have been other actresses, you know, that have wanted roles that they didn't get. Like, there was, like, Anne Hathaway. And what's her name? We just watched her in Up in the Air. That one girl from like Twilight. I'm terrible with names today. She was, Cup Song.
Yeah,
Pitch Perfect. Anna Kendrick. Yeah. Anna Kendrick really wanted to play Squirrel Girl, but they gave Squirrel Girl to this other girl.
Wait, they've actually cast Squirrel Girl?
Yeah, but it's just in like a streaming show. I can't. It's like on not even Hulu or
Netflix. Oh man, I love Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, they like threw her to just like a streaming thing on like not even like something we recognize. It's funny. So like just because somebody wants something doesn't mean they're going to give it to them. But I mean, like if it was like, I don't know, who's like the biggest actor in Hollywood right now? There's so many. If it was like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson wanted to play something, they would give it to him in a heartbeat.
The Rock as Ahsoka. It's gonna happen, and we're gonna make it happen.
I'm gonna bring you back to the light side, Anakin. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Ahsoka. That would be weird.
Ahsoka Tano.
All right. So maybe, so to answer Garrett's question, though, I think that she would actually be really good as Ahsoka. Rosario Dawson. Look it up. All right. He also asked, I vote Game of Thrones.
Look it up.
Nathalie Emmanuel. Is that the girl that was, she was the blonde girl? I'm so, she was like married to the kid king.
The Tyrell girl.
Yes. Marjorie Tyrell. Marjorie Tyrell. I think so.
It's probably her.
Hey, this is Star Wars Hour. We're not supposed to remember all those other people's names. Just Star Wars. No.
She would be a good. Yeah, she would be a good Ahsoka too.
This is a very interesting question coming from Xanderbrow. He says, "I kind of want David Tennant to direct a piece of Star Wars."
Has he directed anything?
I mean, I know David Tennant. He's the 10th Doctor of Doctor Who, and he was also the villain in the first season of Jessica Jones. He might have been in the second season too, but we haven't watched it yet. But David Tennant, he's a great actor. I love him in things that I see him in. But has he directed anything? And I wonder what... You'll have to let me know, Xanderbrow, what made you think of him as a director? I don't know.
I don't trust anybody who hasn't directed something else because I can't estimate their skill levels. So I am not with you on that David Tennant bandwagon, but I do want David Tennant to come to the Star Wars universe as an actor.
Yeah. Crazy Hannah Productions asks, why not bring back J.J. Abrams?
I thought Force Awakens was fine.
I mean, they are bringing back... He's currently directing Episode 9, so they have brought him back. Maybe she didn't know. We've talked about it every week.
She might...
Or maybe she meant for the live-action show. I don't know. They could. Who knows?
I think that's fine. I'm good with that. Although the Lost series was not the best of endings.
Garrett suggesting Idris Elba as a Sith Lord. That would be really cool.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Hello, Crystal Star Knight. Crystal Star Knight said, "Hey, Richie and Jackie." Hello.
Hi.
Let's see here. Yeah, Crazy Hannah Creation says, yeah, J.J. Abrams is best. There was stuff I loved in Last Jedi and stuff I didn't and was sad on. How do I say this? The best, well, at least as far as Star Wars Disney goes, in my opinion, the best director has been Gareth Edwards, who did Rogue One.
And then hospitalized himself because of it.
But that's perfect because George Lucas hospitalized himself stressing out when he did the original Star Wars film in 1977.
Oh, that poor boy.
So they have that in common. both George Lucas and Gareth Edwards had to go to the hospital over stress during their Star Wars movies.
You heard it here first, kids. You gotta go to the hospital if you want to make a good Star Wars film.
No, because he cares,
Yeah.
And I think that, Rogue One definitely, at least in my opinion, has been the best of all the Star Wars movies coming out of the Disney owning Lucasfilm era. JJ's okay, and but I think that it's definitely Gareth Edwards is the best.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. Yeah. Gareth Edwards. Boom.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find more questions. Everybody's just talking to each other in chat right now. But I haven't gone down all the way yet. Here we go. Nope, that's not a question. Somebody's just letting us know things. Maybe we're out of questions. Oh god, I went too fast and I skipped some stuff.
Oh no.
Okay, here we go. I just did that to keep track. Sorry guys for a brief pause in time here.
So how's the weather where you guys are? This is what you get when Derek's gone.
Oh no.
It's me. It's
me. Garrett says Nathalie
Melisandre.
Emmanuel played Mrs. I can never pronounce that. Melisandre, that's the woman in red, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's good. She could play anything in Star Wars, just about. Oh yeah, and Crazy Hannah says, yeah, of course David Tennant is Scrooge McDuck in the new DuckTales, but I have yet to receive an answer from Xanderbrow about why he suggested David Tennant being a director. Maybe he went crazy. Let's see here. Dude, everybody's just talking about their favorite Sith Lords in chat right now.
Who's your favorite Sith Lord?
My favorite Sith Lord is Darth Vader because I'm old school and unimaginative. No.
I like Palpatine.
No, Palpatine's great too. Yep, there are no more questions.
I also like Darth Maul.
Oh yeah, Darth Maul. At least in he's great in Phantom Menace, of course, but he really shines in the comics, in Clone Wars, in Rebels, in the expanded universe.
I like them all, but I don't care for Count Dooku.
Well, we're just gonna call this a Star Wars half hour, I think, unless we get a question in here in the next 10 seconds. Oh, here we go. Here's a good question from Pranks to Live. He says, "What's some of your favorite Star Wars games?" Favorite Star Wars game of all time would probably be Shadows of the Empire, but that's just because I love the novel so much. The original two Star Wars Battlefront games were great, and of course the original X-Wing and TIE Fighter games were also good. Dark Forces, Jedi Academy, all those games were great, and of course Knights of the Old Republic. Those are all good. Do you have any favorite Star Wars games?
I actually have not played any Star Wars.
You've played Star Wars games. She's played Star Wars games. I mean, what about Star Wars Racer? You've played Star Wars Racer, Pod Racer.
Oh, it's a new lap record.
Yeah, you've played that.
That's not my favorite. I wouldn't.
Garrett says Holly says hi.
Hi, Holly!
Idra says, what do you like about the expanding universe? That's also a good question. What I like from the original expanding universe is the Thrawn trilogy and Shadows of the Empire and Knights of the Old Republic, all that great stuff. What I like from the new expanded universe, Clone Wars and Rebels. Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff in the Darth Vader comics are cool, but old expanded universe is probably better. Whoops.
Well. I definitely like Dash Rendar. I think he's really cool, and I want him real bad to come into the canon. Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to get a lot more Star Wars news this next coming week because there's going to be a ton of announcements. At least that's what's coming through the grapevine through the Star Wars show and through Lucasfilm. There's going to be some kind of press conference, I think, on Sunday or Monday. And we should be having a lot more Star Wars news. We had our little tidbit with Jon Favreau, and when we did a fun little Q&A. Sorry that there's not more today. It's just going to be a quick Star Wars half hour. But, once in a while, and, that's what you get when you have a show dedicated to one subject. Most of the time, especially with Star Wars, we're going to have a ton of news. This week, just not as much news. And, of course, D-Rock's not here.
Yeah.
So...
Take what I say with a grain of salt, guys.
But that's okay. Don't forget to subscribe. Watch us every Wednesday for Star Wars Hour, and every other week or whatever we'll put out Rebels. If you have not watched Rebels Abridged Episode 2 yet, go ahead and watch Rebels Abridged Episode 2. And then in the chat there, you'll see VGN, Video Game Network. Subscribe to that channel. That is our Video Game Network. That's the channel that Garrett's been talking through right now. So that's about it. Jackie, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, you kids have fun.
All right.
You have a good rest of the day.
Hope you guys have had a good day.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.